Welcome to the Fire series on YouTube, sponsored by our friends over at Baselane. Hey there, I'm Mindy Jensen, and I am thrilled to introduce BiggerPockets' new partner, Baselane, the all-in-one banking and financial management platform built for independent real estate investors. Baselane combines banking, rent collection, and bookkeeping to create streamlined workflows that save you time and give you a clear view of your cash flow. Get organized with unlimited accounts you can create for each property. Stop wasting time on manual bookkeeping with Baselane's auto tagging for your transactions. Visit baselane.com/biggerpockets and join more than 40,000 landlords who have stopped the busy work and started growing their rental portfolio with Baselane. Now, let's get into Michael's story. Baselane is a financial technology company and is not a bank. Banking services provided by Thread Bank, member FDIC. I am so excited to be talking with Michael Zuber today. Michael used to work in the corporate world where he slowly started to invest in real estate in his spare time. And as sometimes happens, his portfolio grew to the point where he no longer needed to work. And he said goodbye to his W-2 forever. Now Michael is given the flexibility to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it. Sounds pretty great, right? I can't wait for you to learn how he did it and show you how you can recreate his financial journey. Michael, thank you so much for joining me today.
Mindy, thank you for the opportunity. It's kind of a deja vu or flashback memory speaking with BiggerPockets again. So thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, Michael was on a video with Josh Dorkin in 2011. Josh Dorkin is the founder of BiggerPockets, and that was a fun little video to watch, seeing young Josh's face. And young beardless Michael.
Yes, much younger, 13 years ago.
So, Michael, when you first started investing in real estate, what was your goal?
Oh, my goal wasn't financial independence. It wasn't, some great number. It was really just to get to 4 rental properties. I thought if I got to 4 rental properties, my journey starts at 31 after losing a lot of money in the stock market. I thought if I got 4 rentals, by the time I was 61 or 65, I would have 4 free and clear properties. I didn't think it would give me financial freedom. I'm just like, my options will be better than most. That was the extent of my grand vision, was just to get to 4.
Was there any significance about the number 4, or did you just kind of just make that up?
It was a simple target. It felt like it was easy. I had been doing this for a long time, and there was actually a time in the market, Mindy, where you may remember, you could only get 4 loans. Right, you can only get 4 loans. Now, then it was 10, and there are different numbers now. But I cut my teeth in a world where 4 loans were the most you could get. So I said, well, I guess I'm going to go get the maximum. So that's where 4 came from.
Did you stop at 4?
No. We did not stop at 4. In fact, once we got focused, we figured out a buy box. We learned the market. We got to 8 in about 3.5 years. Which was actually pre-real estate crash, right? Our journey starts in 2001. By 2005, 2006, we had 6 homes in a duplex, so we had 8 units. And I went to an event with Bruce Norris that said the California crash was coming because I invest in California, and that spooked me. I had to go figure out why he thinks a crash is coming, what this affordability index is all about, and lo and behold, he was right, and I took action. I mean, one of the things that you'll see through my 25 years of real estate investing is when I take massive action. So we went on from those 8 units to 1031, all of those near the peak of the market, and we 1031 into 80 units. So we moved into small multis, 5s, 13s, 8s, 10s. So when the housing crash came, we were in apartments. We didn't have any houses. And that was really the conversation with Josh Dorkin 13 years ago, was about that transition.
So you went from 8 units to 80 units in what span of time?
It was about 9 months, maybe 11 months in total. Very quickly. We sold them all fast.
Wow. Okay. And at the 2005, 2006, that's when you could sell anything. It was just going crazy. When did you buy those 80 units? Was that also before the crash?
Yeah, because you have to do a 1031 exchange. So you have a clock. It's 90 days to identify and 6 months to close. So yeah, we moved into multifamily at the peak of residential, but people don't realize multifamily was cheap back then. Why? Because everybody was buying a home. You had to do move-in specials. You had to have rent discounts. So multifamily was on sale while single families was priced at a stupid level.
That is a very interesting position to find yourself in. I have 8 units. I believe the residential housing market is going to crash based on information that I got from somebody else. So I am going to get out of this peak market and dive into a cheaper, in air quotes, a cheaper market into these 80 units. So what did you sell your 8 units for approximately? And what did you buy the 80 units for approximately?
So, I mean, you could look this stuff up, right? The property I talk about all the time is 1818 North Drive East 93703. People can look it up on Zillow. We bought it in, I want to say December of 2001 for 107 grand. We sold it for 263 like 3 years later. So it more than doubled in 3 years. People can go look it up again, 1818 North Drive East. So we took all that equity and we rolled it into an apartment building we still owned. We bought that apartment building, which was 5 units, all 1-1s for 223.
Okay. So what's your largest building size? Just so
20 units.
20. Okay. So these are small to medium sized properties. How were you able to finance these? Was it all just taking the 8 units and turning them into 80 units from the existing money you had in the 8 units? Or did you use your job and get actual loans, mortgage loans?
So we got loans, but they were commercial loans. And if people don't know the subtle difference between residential loans and commercial loans, it's on the asset.
Yes, as opposed to your financial situation.
Correct. Commercial loans have been and still are that way. But yeah, we were getting into units. Generally speaking, our equity position was 50% or greater. Because again, single families were high, multifamilies were on sale. We had all this equity, which we couldn't touch. Otherwise, we'd be taxed. And we rolled it all in to apartment buildings. So our LTVs were 45 to 50%. They were easy to get. Not a single net new dollar came out of our pockets because it was all the equity. And we got commercial bank loans were, relatively easy at 50% LTV.
Right. You're not giving them so much of a risk when you're putting down 50% on this. I love that. When you moved from your 8 single families to your 80 units, were you thinking about financial freedom at the time? Or were you just thinking, hey, I better get out of the residential real estate market before it crashes?
I was deathly afraid because my real estate journey started after losing 80% of my wealth in the stock market. Right? I'd already stacked up a bunch of chips and nearly lost it all. So the last thing I wanted to do, because we had 6 houses in a duplex, 8 units, we were millionaires again. Multimillionaires. And I was deathly afraid of losing it all again because I'd done it before. No, my focus was get out.
Okay, so this is interesting. Let's look at that losing 80% of your net worth. What year was that and what were you invested in?
Stocks. It was all stocks. I'm old enough to have participated in the .com crash. I successfully turned 7 grand into 200 grand, just shy of 200, rounded up to 200. I remember the day thinking I was smarter than Warren Buffett. I think I actually said that out loud. And karma has a way of smacking the young man around. And I lost 80% of that. So 160 grand in about a 3-week period.
What specific stocks were you invested in?
Enron and WorldCom.
Oh, well then, that's all you need to say. Holy cow. Enron didn't just bite all the people that worked there. Wow. Okay. Do you invest in the stock market at all now?
I did not touch a single stock for 20 years. I have more money in crypto than I have in the stock market today. In fact, I have 0 in the stock market today, but I have invested a little bit in the stock market. But again, I don't have a big crypto investment. I have 1% of my net worth in crypto. I bought Bitcoin and Ethereum in 2019 as an insurance hedge that I'll never touch. It's done quite well, obviously, buying it that low back then. But to me, I'm not an investor in crypto. It's like, just in case this stuff goes bananas, I want to have 1% of my net worth there.
That is the best reason I have ever heard to invest in crypto, just in case it goes bananas. But you only have 1% of your net worth in there. And 0% of your net worth is in the stock market. I have a different philosophy, but also I didn't invest in WorldCom and Enron, and I can completely see where you're coming from. So you have these 80 units. How much cash flow are they kicking off in terms of your monthly spend?
Just so we're on the same timeline together, you're talking about at the points of acquisition or after 15 years, just so I'm clear.
Oh, let's talk about first at the points of acquisition.
So let's roll this all together for folks. So we roll out of these houses. These are 6 houses in a duplex. We were probably cash flowing, I don't know, let's call it $1,500 a month, right? Net after expenses and reserves and, all of those things. It was okay. We transitioned out of those 8 into 80 units. The first thing I realized is managing or owning 80 apartments is very different than owning homes. It's just different, and I didn't know that, so I had a wake-up call. But after we seasoned those properties, probably for 6 months, cash flow went to almost 10 grand.
So that's a little bit more than $1,500 a month.
Certainly is. Now, part of that's because we had such low debt, and it's just, all of that. If I would have laddered up the debt to maybe 75%, which you could have done, cash flow probably would have been more like $4,500 to $5,000. But again, we were just in build mode. So yeah, it was almost 10 grand after the little bit of 6 months of seasoning and figure out what we had.
When did you start thinking, hey, I could live off of the income that these rentals are producing, and hey, I could quit my job?
My wife and I had that discussion. I wanted to get these timelines right. Probably 2014. My wife's name's Olivia. She basically came to me and said, "Hey, I want to be done with my W-2." What we had the conversation, because we've always been very conservative, is I said, "Okay, let's set up a bank account for your paycheck. Let's have it routed to this new bank account, which if we don't touch for the year, we're good." And sure enough, we lived off our real estate, and I still had my job going to pay the bills, and we didn't touch it for a year, and she quit. That was the first time we really thought about this. Now, why is that? I had a job that I loved. I was quickly climbing the corporate ladder. I was in sales and marketing, go-to-market, all of that. I was paid well for doing what I did. I did something that very few people have done. I took 3 products from 0 to 100 million. My ego was wrapped in my job. So I'd always thought I was going to retire at 50. Obviously I retired at 45, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I never thought about quitting. I went to my job because it was a party. It was fun. I loved it.
So when did you finally leave your job?
February 2nd, 2018.
I love when people know the day, the exact day. And how did you feel leading up to saying, I want to quit my job?
Let's paint the vision. Because again, as I just shared, my vision was to quit at 50. So I'm 45. In sales, Mindy may not know this, you get a new quota and a new team every year. So I happen to work at a company where the fiscal year ended January 31st. I was going to get my new quota, my new team that Monday, which I believe was February 2nd. February 2nd, February 3rd. I expected to get a new team, a new quota that I was super excited about. I was ready to kill it again. And lo and behold, I was given a team, given a quota, given a product that I told the company I didn't want. And worst of all, I was given a boss who I hated. And let's be clear, he hated me. He hated me just as much. I had a 15-second internal dialogue. I didn't even sit down, Mindy. I didn't even sit down. I hate this guy that much. The 15-second conversation was, do I want to fight this? Do I want to go to the SVP of sales, who I know really well, and fight this? My internal monologue said, I will probably win the battle, but lose the war. And I'm like, I'm out. 15-second discussion in my head. I quit. I said, what we need to do now is we need to set up an NDA where I say nice things and you say nice things, and you need to give me a severance package, and I'm out. 2 minutes, in and out. I texted my wife walking back to my desk, telling her I'm coming home. She thought I was kidding. I picked up 2 family photos, left all the awards, left all the trophies, left the computer, left it a mess, walked out, never went back.
Wow. Okay, so you did not have 1 more year syndrome. You had, I can't even be here another minute syndrome.
Correct.
I love it. I love it. Do you have any regrets with the way that you left your job?
No, absolutely not. When you quit like that, because again, I thought I was doing 5 more years. I went to work thinking I was getting all of these new things. And to leave, 5 minutes later or 10 minutes, whatever it was, it's shocking to the system. So the first thing I could tell you is for about 2 days, you smile so much your face hurts. I didn't know there's these muscles in your face that hurt from smiling. And then it got dark because I didn't have a plan, Mindy. I didn't have a plan. I'm a type A individual. I'm up at 5:30 a.m., 5:15 to 5:30 every day, 7 days a week for decades. No alarm. Just I'm up. And I didn't have a mission. Mindy, I had no mission.
So what did you do?
I got depressed.
Well, that's not a good plan. So
Yeah, don't do that, folks. Have a plan. So this would, and again, I'm a positive person. I didn't even recognize I was getting depressed for a couple of weeks. In my career, when you're really good at what you do, people offer you jobs all the time. So I took a couple of lunch meetings and I just didn't have it, right? I had that click, that moment, I'm out, I'm not going back. We tried to take a family vacation to Taiwan. My wife's from Taiwan. We tried to spend a month in Taiwan, hoping that would, shake up the cobwebs. But I didn't have a mission. So the first thing that really clicked for me, I remember sitting at my kitchen table. It's about 8 weeks now after I left. And I'm literally having suicidal thoughts. I'm like that depressed. It's like life's not worth it. And this is stupid, right? I'm financially free. I can do whatever the heck I want. And I'm having these mental battles. I remember sitting at my kitchen table going, I'm going to get a job on Monday or I'm going to find something to do. So what I decided to do was write one rental at a time. One of the things that I've acknowledged that I did poorly was I didn't document my journey. YouTube wasn't a thing. And so I wrote a book and I wrote it for myself. It's a completely selfish endeavor to go back and relive the ups and the downs of this 20-year journey. So I wrote that book. It saved me.
Wow. Okay. I've written 2 books and it was not a fun experience for me. What did writing your book teach you or show you that you should continue on with this journey? I'm sad that you were having suicidal thoughts. I'm glad you didn't go through with it.
Me too.
But I don't think we should gloss over that either. I mean,
no,
we talk about this all the time. Quitting your job is this like everybody wants to do that. But if you don't have a plan, you could fall into some bad habits. You could fall into depression. You could fall into like a lot of different things that could happen without this plan. And I only know of a couple of people who have succeeded, but because they were so busy all the time leading up to their retirement that they didn't want to plan anything. They just wanted to take a break and just decompress, which is valid too, but that's also kind of a plan in and of itself.
You have to have a plan. I mean, if I could do it all over again, I should have been planning my exit. Because again, I'd always said 50, 50, 50. So I was like 5 years away from at least 4 years away from having to think about it. And then I had that one bad morning, that one bad meeting, and it's like, well, guess I'm out. And please don't do that. Please have a plan. Please have a plan.
Absolutely have a plan. That is what's going to get you to the next part of your journey. I mean, you quit your job at age 45. You've got a lot of life left in you. How does financial independence work with a real estate portfolio? We normally talk about financial independence in terms of the 4% rule or the Trinity study, but how does it work with real estate?
That is a great question that not a lot of people talk about. So this is one guy's opinion. Take it for what it's worth. I think everybody should understand what I call their monthly nut, right? What does it cost to live your life? That's mortgages, rent, insurance, food, entertainment, everything. Throw it all in there. And that's a number. Call it $5,000, call it $6,000, whatever it is. If you're in the real estate, because it is more variable, turnovers, evictions, all of that, you need to have some number of cash flow, 2, 3, 4x that to really feel financially comfortable. Because you will have large capital expenses, you will have things that come out of left field. The 4% rule really doesn't apply. So what I did is I figured out what our monthly expenditures were, and we grew a portfolio that is, dwarfed that by 4, 5, 6x. So even on a bad month, we're, still, saving money and stacking cash.
Well, that leads me to my next question. Let's call it 4x your monthly spending. What do you do with that extra 3x? There's no such thing as extra money, so it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, so a lot of that goes to savings, but we're also enjoying life. We've, we picked up a second home. We do ridiculous travel. We just got back from a 11-day cruise to Iceland and Greenland. We did a month in Southeast Asia. We are enjoying, 20 years of sacrifice, and we do what we want when we want. We don't think about money. We had season tickets to the Warriors until we moved, and yeah, we are finding ways to enjoy life.
Well, and when essentially your income is 4 times your expenses, you don't really have to be super tight with your wallet.
Correct.
That is magical. I love that. You were able to retire off of your initial 8 units that you turned into 80 units, and now you live off of that. Who runs those day to day? Is that you, or do you have a property management company?
No, we chose to invest in a market that was 3 hours from home. I happened to have a career that took me all over the world, so I didn't have any time. My wife was busy with a day job and raising our daughter. So no, we've had a property manager since we had Norris Drive, and we might spend 2 hours a month kind of approving evictions or looking at bids for turnovers or something like that. But it's pretty hands off.
You work 2 hours a month and make 4x your expenses. And I think we should address the elephant in the room. This was all purchased 15 years ago.
Well, the journey started. Yeah.
These properties were purchased pre-crash of 2008.
Yeah, we moved those 80 units. Yeah, all that. Again, I think that's an important point. We bought pre-crash, but we definitely make decisions, right? And we bought the homes, then we got out of homes and into apartments. We even bought more after that. Our maximum portfolio was 182 units. No partners, no JVs, no nothing, right? We were very active during the crash. I bought a house for $25,000 during the crash. 15 years of focus and daily discipline, Mindy. We didn't mess around. My job was to find capital and secure deals. Olivia ran the books, and yeah, we just stayed after it.
I love that. Do you ever plan to go back to a formal job?
No chance. I am unemployable.
Okay, I love that answer. And that is the answer that I get from almost everybody that I talk to. I do have a couple of people that I've spoken to who are like, for the right project, maybe I would go back. There are people who really are excited about contributing to something. I have a friend, he literally lives around the corner from me, and he went back to work for another one of our friends just because he thought that the process was fascinating. But it was very non 40 hours a week kind of thing. Like, oh, I'll come over for a few hours and I'll come over for a few hours. I think it was more for helping a friend and an interesting project than actually like working for money. He doesn't need to work for money. So I think he did like a nominal amount.
I want people to realize if they just get 4 rental properties, it changes their financial future. 4 is an amazing number. If you decide to get 4 and you want to go farther, great. But here's the deal. Inflation is a feature, not a bug. And if you can own assets that somebody else pays for that has 30-year debt, that cash flows every month, and you hold it for 30 years, you're going to be a freaking millionaire and probably a multimillionaire with options. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get people to realize that 1 rental at a time, just get to 4. It's the thing. Keep your job. Stop this. I'm going to quit my job and do this, that, or the other thing. The job is the ticket. Stop looking at the job as a prison. It's the ticket to get out. Live below your means, stack disposable income, buy some assets one at a time. You just need to do it for a decade. I'm sorry. This is not get rich quick. It's get rich for sure.
Ooh, I like that. You're right. It is real estate is not get rich quick. If somebody said that you can get rich quick in real estate, they're probably selling a course. And that course isn't going to teach you anything. You are not going to get rich quickly in real estate. But if you stick with it, if you make intelligent purchases, you will get rich from real estate.
Yeah. The key is you got to hold on. And that's why I get annoyed when people say, I'm going to bet on appreciation. Again, I got 20 years. I saw the crash. I knew people worth $10 million that didn't take one small loss that lost everything. So no, cash flow is like oxygen. You got to be able to hold it for a decade, 15 years, 20 years.
I agree. Yeah. You can make a lot of money in real estate. You can also lose a lot of money in real estate if you just jump in blindly without thinking about what it is you're going to be doing. What is your biggest takeaway from pursuing financial independence and leaving your job that you would like to tell our audience?
Please have a plan. Now, it doesn't have to consume all of your day, but we're just human beings. We have to feel like we're moving forward somewhere. So for me, I get that by creating an hour or 2 of content 5 days a week. That's enough for me to feel like I'm still contributing to the universe. And then I have 12 hours to do whatever the heck I want. We usually go to lunch, take a nap, work out, go to a movie. You don't have to replace all 8 hours, but please find something you're going to do 5 days a week. Because if you do what I did and you just punch out, you don't have a plan, it doesn't lead to a good place.
I love that. I think that's great advice. I watched my husband retire 7 years ago, and he was then scrambling frantically to fill his days. And it was like he couldn't fill it with enough stuff. And he's just now, 7 years later, starting to be, oh, okay, I can take a break. I can relax. I can read a book that doesn't teach me something.
Just for fun.
Just for fun. It's been maybe a year that he has started to decompress and unwind. And I'm so excited for him to just read a Stephen King book. Stephen King's a great author, doesn't teach you anything that you need to know. So yeah, I love that he's doing that. Michael, thank you so much for your time today. This was a lot of fun. Is there anywhere our audience can find you online?
I've done one thing right in this whole world. Is my mantra is one rental at a time. So books, YouTube, website, just one rental at a time. I shouldn't be hard to find.
I think that is a great mantra to have. I love when people do it slowly. They get in, buy a house, figure out, oh, I really do like this. I'll get another one. Or, hey, I really hate this. Let me look for a different investment vehicle. But when you jump in with, 50, you're going to have a hard time figuring out if you really like it, if you're just overwhelmed. Do you just like the money? Or is it like maybe you would have liked it if you weren't so overwhelmed? I like real estate a lot. All right, Michael, thank you again. And my dear listeners, if you like this video, please click the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more inspiring fire videos like Michael's. This is Mindy Jensen signing off.